Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Best Foot Forward. I'm Annie, the walk and talk therapist, and I'm here with the lovely Beth from Confidence Education. So this episode, we thought, seeing as we are sitting inside because it's such a grey, wet, miserable, cold day in February, that we would look at managing motivation, procrastination, and wrapped up in all of that is the phrase seasonal affective disorder, or being affected by the seasons and nature around us. So that's our topic of conversation today.
And it's taken us a little while to get here. We are both aware of this. Illness,
Christmas,
general family dramas. But actually what this is about is Annie and I being kind to ourselves. Because although our podcast is really important to us, actually sometimes you do just need to work out what is doable within the capacity that you have. So
absolutely.
We're really happy to be back. But yes, it has been a little while.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be back.
Yeah,
I'm thrilled to be
me
back.
too.
I missed it. So managing motivation, I'm sure you can sort of understand from the academic world, which I want to hear about in a moment. But when it comes to being all wrapped up, how the seasons are, I'm looking out the window as I talk because it makes me look at how grey it is and wintry. It really does affect how we feel. And I hear a lot about it in client work, and you might see it in the work that you do with your tutees as well.
Yes.
And I suppose, how would it present itself? It would be maybe a lack of energy.
Yeah.
And low mood.
Yeah.
And I'm really cautious to say low mood, not depression, because we can get the two a bit mixed up sometimes. But for a short time, in terms of seasons, low mood would fit under seasonal work, whereas depression would be for a lot longer time. Oversleeping, weight gain, pretty much we're hibernating.
Yeah.
That's
it. And if you think about working with teenagers in particular, the fact that it is researched and scientifically proven that teenagers function better later on in the day because they need their sleep, and that's why it's so hard to get into school for 8:15 or whatever time you've got to be there.
It's a tall order.
It is. So that factored in with it being dark outside when you leave the house and rainy like it is today, it's not going to help having a more positive exit to the house and start to the day.
Yeah, and we expect our children to be motivated at school. I think there's an expectation that they're ready to go, and we are all different. So warming up takes us a while. Some people would describe themselves as, I'm a morning person, and some people would say, I'm clearly not a morning person. And that can look as though somebody is not motivated, but actually there might be more going on, which is what we wanted to sort of open up a little bit, that there's not just the person, it's the environment, the nature, the seasons that are going around as well. And we know there's a lot going on because, let's just say, between September and February is a window roughly. I would talk about the darker months where the clocks go back. And we know science tells us that the reduction in sunlight, that part of our brain, the hypothalamus, stops working properly. So that's the production of melatonin, serotonin, circadian rhythm, all of that we can't ignore. And without going into lots of scientific things, I would like people to hear, that are listening to this, think, oh, okay, maybe it's not, there's something wrong with me. Maybe there is just the seasonal part of what's happening.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we've said it. What people say a lot is it's okay not to be okay, and it is. And actually, it's okay to understand that there are external factors that might be affecting your motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, it's more common in females to have this effect of the seasons than men.
Oh, that is interesting.
Not that they don't, but it's more, whether that's, who knows, whether it's because women are more able or more comfortable to say, I feel a bit down today.
Yeah.
And that, a sweeping statement, I'm well aware of what I've just said, but it's reported more in women to say that they're affected by that. So do you see it in your work in terms of tutees and
at
children?
the moment, we did our very first podcast, in fact, was about sort of more long-term motivation towards exams. So we're kind of coming around to that point again, if I'm honest. But we didn't talk about the kind of external surroundings, nature, the time of year so much when we recorded that first podcast. It was a little bit later on. And I think what I'm seeing now, there's a lot of mock exams going on. There's a lot of, maybe a student hasn't done as well in their first mocks as they wanted to. And so, they're then trying to motivate themselves to revise again for new mocks that have just happened or are about to happen. And one of the things that I think is particularly difficult is at the moment in school, teachers are setting homework and expecting revision.
Oh, double.
And so you are expected to balance both of those things. And one of the things that I tell my students is that mock exams, they're important in terms of understanding where you're at and what would be good for you to do in terms of preparation for your exams in the summer. But they're like this weird kind of microcosm. They sort of condense your exams down into a week and a half.
Oh.
And sometimes you can have 2-3 exams on the same day, which does happen in the summer. But you might have 2 exams on the same day and then a week in between that and the next one. So it kind of the pressure is different to actual real exams. So there's a lot to juggle, a lot to kind of organise to make sure that you have time to do homework, revision, and look after yourselves, as we've spoken about previously. And so motivation, I would say, is fairly low at the moment amongst my GTs.
And I can understand how that would be. And you observe the mocks versus the real exams and the different time of year, if we're talking about how the seasons affect us. And it occurred to me that we're often poorly during the winter as well. So what you've just said about mocks being squished into a week and a half, I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone that's dodged the cold, the virus or something over the last few months, you and me included as well. So if that's at play as well, motivation, because I describe motivation as feeling energized towards a goal.
Yes.
Where would that be? Because your body's, your immune system's fighting that. So
and actually, the goal is in the summer.
Yeah,
it's not now.
No, and I understand the predicament. So the educational world wants to benchmark a line in the sand of where we are, so we know where to focus the time we've got left. Totally understand that, but we're dealing with people and humans and everything that they carry as well.
Yeah.
So really, I don't have an answer for that. I can just see the predicament of it. But I think today it's just opening the fact that being motivated is affected by a lot of different things. And we can procrastinate as well. And you and I, we sort of talk about procrastination quite a lot. But before, I'd like to sort of talk about how to alleviate the feelings of sort of low motivation in a minute. But let's make that distinction between us, you and me. We can do it, between procrastination and being disciplined and motivation, because you see it a lot. We did touch on it again, as you say, with revision schedules and making the most beautiful thing possible, but not doing the do, making it look pretty. Tell me what you see as procrastination then. So
there's 2 extremes, and as we know with humanity, we fit somewhere along a line, don't we?
Everything's a scale.
Yeah, everything's a scale. So I have people who spend a lot of time making the most beautiful resources. They have mind maps, they have flashcards, the most beautiful handwriting, everything's highlighted perfectly. Bubble writing, yes. And they come to me and they're like, I have all of these notes, but it's not going in. And actually, the creation of the notes isn't the retrieval and the repetition that they need.
No.
It's a bit of a comfort blanket, security blanket, but also it is procrastinating from the real act of doing. I then have other end of extreme where there's a lot of pressure, and because there's a lot of pressure, I call it ostrich head in the sand. Because there's a lot of pressure, they push it away completely. And so do things that they, might be going on social media, might be playing on a PlayStation or Xbox. It might be, whatever it is they're choosing to do instead of revising. They've made a schedule. They've got a list of 3 things they want to achieve that evening. They've done that part of it, but they're just not doing any of it because they are putting it off. And then often those students come to me like the next day or few days' time, sort of with their head in their hands going, what have I done? I knew I should do this and I know that I needed to and I planned to and then I didn't. And so the procrastination there is coming out in activities that are, sorry, that's my dog, by the way. If you get some funny noises, it's my dog. So the procrastination comes out in in doing activities they enjoy, but they feel quite guilty about doing those activities, but that's just what they do instead of revising.
And that reminds me of, we were talking, weren't we, about a revision schedule. It's fine. Of putting those things in the schedule.
Yes.
So this is the time where I'm going to go on social media, but I'm putting it down after so long.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious, because we talk about putting things off.
Yeah.
My head says, why?
Yeah.
What's the behaviour? What's the fear? What's the concern? Is it that you don't understand it? Is it that you don't want to do it? Is it the weather's not making you feel inclined to do it? And it's likely to be, I would be asking people to focus on what you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
That is the barrier to do it. So procrastination is a behaviour thing, not a time management
thing. And it's
thing.
Interesting, because some of those people who procrastinate, well, actually from both ends of that scale that I was talking about, they are really concerned about the outcome. They are really, they maybe think they're going to fail, or they didn't do as well last time and they're worried it's going to happen again. And so it's almost that worry about not doing as well is stopping them from actually doing the thing they need to do to progress. And I would
go out on a limb and say probably that would be the overriding reason people procrastinate, is the fear, the anxiety. For some people it might just be a really boring task, and we can all relate to having those tasks that we need to do. But if someone's able to ask themselves or check in and go, why am I putting this off? Come on. Talk to yourself as if you're another person. Why am I not doing this? And what do I need? Do I need reassurance from somebody? Somebody like yourself or a teacher to say, I know you've got it. If you just focus on A, B and C, that might focus the time. But that ability to say or recognise, I am procrastinating. This is just frustrating the hell out of me. What can I need to do?
Something that was a bit of a surprising thing that was found to work by a student that was finding it difficult to motivate himself. It started off with a conversation about whether it was okay to start a relationship during revision time, which I didn't feel I could say yes or no to, each to their own.
Yeah.
But what he had been doing with his new girlfriend was they were actually revising over Zoom together.
Oh.
She was motivating him, like genuinely this is what they were doing. He was doing more work because he was doing it with somebody.
He needed a study buddy.
A study buddy, and there's some accountability there.
Yeah, because if you arrange to meet at a certain time, you don't want to let that other person down.
I've done this with friends when I've needed to get some work done. You have to be quite strict and say, right, timer, 30 minutes, we work and then talk.
Yes.
But I found it's helped in certain situations, particularly if it's something that you don't really want to do. Or I think with this particular student, he was revising subjects that he was feeling less confident with. And so doing that together and having someone to ask questions of and kind of talk about it really helped him. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a girlfriend or boyfriend.
No.
However, it could be a friend. It could be sitting with a parent. If you're like, okay, you're doing work, I need to do work, we'll sit at the table and do this together. I've seen that help motivate people.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's a good tip. And if we think wider than that a little bit about, because what we're talking here about mindset, isn't it? Aren't we? About how we talk to ourselves. But if we can change our mindset, like I've encouraged people to check in and ask yourself, what am I doing this for? What's holding me back? Changing that, and maybe rewarding yourself on progress. I don't know whether you've seen people do that as well. Letting go of that perfectionism.
Yeah.
So if your schedule says I need to do these 3 things, which is something you've indicated to, but you do 2, it's okay. You've done 2 out of the 3. That can help overcome procrastination because you've still done something.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot to be said about let's not be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Moving forward is moving forward, and you'll be familiar with that phrase as well. So.
Yeah.
But in terms of how I wanted to offer just sort of 4 words that might be useful to people about alleviating the sort of the low feelings or motivation energy that we have. I do think it's like hibernating, because we are a species that is predominantly, we are humans, and we started in nature, we still live in nature, so therefore we are in tune with Mother Nature. We have to ebb and flow with what all the seasons that are happening, I suppose. And these 4 things I think I would offer to help. I'd be interested in your opinion. Are concentrate on eat, move, mind and sleep.
Yeah.
And checking those 4 pillars on these darker months, and I'll talk more in each detail in a minute, but being able to eat properly, move more, focus on your mind and sleep are 4 things.
So it's really interesting you said that, because at the start we said about some of the reasons why it's taken us a little bit of time to get to this episode. And one of the things that I've been doing to help myself is making sure I go out on a walk. And we've said this is the whole premise, apart from today, because it's so really wet and horrible.
Yes.
But
it's the technical, we wouldn't want the microphones to get damaged. That's my
absolutely
excuse.
That's it. But that idea of going out for a walk, being outside, getting some fresh air, even if it's just 5 minutes around the block.
Yes.
If you've got to a block inside, that movement just really helps.
It's endorphins, Beth.
It is.
It boosts your endorphins.
Yeah.
And endorphins is a mood booster. They're part of the medical world, but you can get it yourself by moving. Yeah. It counteracts lethargy. So if you're feeling lethargic, it's that difficult bit of, well, I've got my boot and coats on now, so I might as well go, knowing that you feel better for the after feeling than the before feeling. So it does boost your mood. It counteracts lethargy and low mood. It creates serotonin, which is part of what are in antidepressants, but you can go and get some serotonin just by going out and doing some walking. And it promotes better sleep, because you'd think if you're more active, you would be more likely to sleep better. So high five to that.
Yeah.
Go out.
The other thing that I found, and it depends what kind of exercise works for you, I use Tabata if I haven't got a very...
Tabata?
So this is where you have... It's high into...
It's like a ladder, is it?
Yeah. Well, you do 20 seconds of intense workout and then 10 seconds rest.
Yes.
And actually, you're only meant to do 4 minutes worth.
Oh.
You can do more than that if you want, but they're in 4-minute chunks. So you could go...
You could fit that into a day, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, and it's a really good little break. And particularly if it's raining outside or it's 8 o'clock at night and it's dark, actually just doing those short, sharp bursts. I've got a little Tabata timer just on my phone as an app.
That sounds awesome.
Honestly, there's just those 4 minutes. You don't need any equipment.
4 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
So the moving bit, I think, is a key part of low motivation and low mood.
Yeah.
We've already split motivation and procrastination, because procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's a behavioural question mark. Yeah. But if we move back to where we were, moving, absolutely, for all those reasons that you and I have just said. The eating part, we're deficient in a lot of D vitamins at this time of year. So thinking of D3, B12 and B9 and looking at those food groups where you get it, and it is the dark leafy greeny things, or pop multivitamins if that's easier for you, but we need to be fueling our body with D vitamins.
So I found out recently that mushrooms, I know not everybody likes them, mushrooms are really high in vitamin D.
And chestnut mushrooms, if you're going to be
specific. Yes.
Not, advocate for chestnut mushrooms, but anyway, mushrooms, definitely. So eating and moving, and the other two I talked about was mind and sleep.
Yeah.
And the mind is, I suppose, very similar to how Beth opened the episode when it came to prioritising your mental well-being. If you're noticing you're feeling stretched, and to not take on more than you would need to. But it goes without saying that our mind in these darker months where we might feel not less motivated, just express it to someone. Yeah. Just say to someone, I'm just feeling a bit meh today. Now, meh in my training was not an emotion that was recognised, but I hear the word meh quite a lot in sessions. Feeling it's a sense of flatness.
Yes.
And I think to be able to express that I'm feeling this to people who can help you is important, or maybe tracking. It happens maybe on a Monday or a Friday or a certain time of the day, and just to say to somebody, I'm feeling like this. Some people journal, some people write down, but everybody is different. But when it comes to our mind, I think setting goals, if we're feeling particularly sluggish, can help us, because we can say, I just need to get this done today. Yeah. It might be different in the summer, but at the minute I'm feeling like this. So therefore I'm going to not aim for perfect. I'm just going to end up focus on these 3 things. So our mind needs to be looked after, as well as moving well, eating well. and listening to what our head's telling us.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And it's difficult with eating, isn't it? Because I'm a prime comfort eater, and particularly crisps.
So many of us are, yes.
Yeah. So again, it's really kind of thinking about what your body needs.
Yes.
And I'm an advocate of eating what you like, everything in moderation. I would never say don't eat crisps, don't eat cake, because life's too short not to enjoy what you eat. But it's thinking, is this just for a quick fix, isn't it? Is this just a little energy boost now where you'll slump later? Or actually, just thinking about what's the right thing for what you need, I think is really important.
Yeah, I agree. And eat, move, mind are the 3 pillars. The 4th one is sleep, because we know the lack of daylight disrupts our circadian rhythm.
Yes.
And that is our internal clock, basically. It's like circadian rhythm. And sleep, oh my God, it's so important, isn't it?
Yes.
Remember newborn phase?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
We just need, it's like a form of torture if you don't have enough sleep. And how on earth can anybody be expected to have clear decisions, clear focus, feel positive about themselves, because it's hugely important. And we talk about our brain needs to repair when we're asleep. So it's not just our body and our muscles going, that's lovely. Our brain chemically repairs.
Yes.
So sleep is so important for staving off, and I appreciate that the group listening to this wouldn't be there, but Alzheimer's and dementia, we need to really let our brains repair at night, so that there aren't any unwanted. It almost washes itself, it cleans itself when we're asleep. So sleep is an important part of these darker months. There is something called a sad light. Have you heard of those?
Yes.
Lamp seasonal affective disorder lamp light, where you position it near your bed, and it's the first thing when you wake up, because daylight in the morning is deemed better than maybe waiting until the afternoon. So that might be something that if people really feel they are lacking in that sleep part, is to invest in one of those.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And again, being outside, it's simple things. Opening your curtains once it's light. Going outside for a walk, seeing that there are actually, some buds on the trees and some bulbs coming up, and we are
noticing.
We are noticing what's happening around us coming out of the darker days. I think that's really important.
And I think probably to close, or starting to close here on that, the phrase we sometimes say when it's pressure, isn't it, of I must feel motivated. There's something wrong. Why am I failing? Take that, dial that down, and just pay attention to what's going on, what you need, and talking to yourself as if you are your friend. And I know this is a phrase we use a lot.
Yeah.
It's really quite important though to treat yourself nicely.
Yes.
Because if you've got big exams coming up, or later on in life, might be an interview, might be a high pressure job or a high focus job, all of these things can be transferable. Of, am I eating well? Am I moving well? Is my mind well? And have I got enough sleep? If something is out of balance, I would typically say it's one of those 4.
Yeah, I think that is so valuable. And what you've just said links in beautifully to what we'd like to talk about next time. Self-talk.
Yes, self-talk. How we talk to ourselves, whether it be critically or whether it be fondly, is a deal breaker.
Yes.
For how you progress through the day, really. So looking forward to that one. Everybody is valuable, and everyone's well-being is valuable. So I'm looking forward to putting that one together.
Wonderful.
So, and that would be episode 9, our next one.
Wonderful.
How exciting. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Beth. Thank you.
Bye.